My name is Joe, and this is my channel, Fighting Words, the Martial Arts Library. This is the second Tuesday of the month, which means it's time for Tangent Tuesday. So, Tangent Tuesday is a day where I take a topic and I just sort of exposit on it as the mood moves me, right? Um, this particular one has actually been requested by my Instagram follower Moonfried4. I know her in real life, but yeah, the subject is going to be, she wanted to know how books could be used to help us with our martial arts. And I'm a little bit surprised that I haven't done this already since, you know, a lot of the channel is talking about martial arts instructional books. Um, just a little side note for people who have been used to seeing some of my other videos. This is a new setup. I just moved. I don't know if this setup is going to be permanent. I hope not. My laptop's down here. My webcam's up here. The plug in the wall is way back there. But anyway, for now, this is the new setup. And also on a minor channel note, now I have a Ko-fi account. If anyone is feeling generous and wants to donate, yay. Um, and I am not eligible to make money off of this. I don't have enough viewers and all that stuff from YouTube. But anyway, so yeah, subject at hand. The basic idea is, or the fundamental question to be asked, can one learn martial arts through books? And pretty much the knee-jerk reaction is no. Um, I would say it's a little bit more nuanced than that. I would say that it is better to learn from even a half decent instructor than to try to learn anything from scratch if you have no martial arts background. Now, you'll notice I had a lot of qualifiers there, right? And the fact is, even though, again, the party line across martial art, just about everybody would be like, no, you can't learn martial arts through books. It's nuanced. But I would like to note that various instructional manuals, including, things like scrolls, wood blocks, in, historical European martial arts, there are various sword and spear treatises going back for centuries. So at least people in the past thought that one could at least help people to learn a martial art by creating manuals for it. So back to my qualifiers. For me, when I first started getting into martial arts, I got into karate when I was, I don't know, age in single digits. I keep saying 5. My parents think I was a little bit older than that, but I got into martial arts and had been practicing karate for a few years before I picked up a book on instruction of martial arts. So for me, I think that it's probably best, based on my experience, that if you are going to try to learn techniques from a book, that you should have a point of reference by already having a background in some martial art to begin with. I'm also going to say I had other advantages. This is going to sound like I'm bragging, but the fact is, when I would take like reading comprehension tests, back in like elementary and middle school, I would always score high on those. Not everyone does. Like, again, sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not. But because I was scoring in like the 90 plus percentile, I had an advantage when it came to reading books. I could figure out what they were saying and sort of visualize what was going on. Not everyone will. I think I might have a solution to that in a second. But with those advantages, have a martial arts background, have pretty good reading comprehension. Start with that. I would say the next step to follow that up is to be picky about the sort of instructional you get. Now, I'm not really going to touch on martial arts videos right now, but I will say that when it comes to techniques, I prefer videos to books because you can actually see the motion of the technique as it is being performed. I think books are probably a better medium for understanding things like principles. But yeah, video is better for techniques, in my opinion. But back to books. As I noted on one of my recent reviews on Higher Judo Groundwork, for instance, I noted that not every technique in there got the same amount of attention from the author. So when you're looking for books, when it comes to like books that describe techniques that are meant to be instructive, the ones that stand out to me are generally the ones that were put out by Victory Belt. If you can find some of those, I don't think they do martial arts books anymore, but they had color photos. They usually had photos from multiple angles, especially when it came to grappling. So that instead of a tangle of limbs, you get to see a tangle of limbs from multiple angles. And you also had, usually a good paragraph's worth of a description for each set of movements. Now, you can contrast that to, again, going back to Higher Judo Groundwork, there were parts of that where, the author was just like, yeah, you see that in illustration number 93 or whatever? Yeah, that's the thing. Look at the picture, and he didn't really detail what was going on. So you need to be choosy with your source. I mean, on a similar note, you need to be choosy with your instructors as well. I think the qualifier that I used earlier was like, a decent or half decent instructor, because there are some instructors who will not pay attention to you, who are not good at communicating what they want from you. And I think in that case, if you have good reading comprehension and a good training partner, that you might even be better off with a book than in a class with a terrible teacher. It does happen sometimes. So, learning the techniques. How are we going to do that? For me, I think striking and ground fighting, or stand-up fighting and ground fighting, are the easiest to learn. I would say the most difficult would happen to be things, upright grappling in the form of throws and takedowns. Those, in my experience, require a sensitivity to the way your opponent's weight is shifting. And that's not really something you can pick up from a page. That's something that requires practice. But with those other two things, the best way is just sort of how you would do it in class. In a lot of martial arts classes, we have this sort of, monkey see, monkey do format, where the instructor demonstrates something and then you go off by your, or the entire class lines up and like, okay, we're doing that now. No, wait, we got to go up before we turn out. Okay. And we got to do it on the other side. Okay. Then you have those guys who, okay, don't do that. You got to, So how does that translate? As the reader, you need to be diligent about what's being shown on the page. You need to be diligent about the description, assuming that it's a good description. Again, there's another qualifier. With that, I don't think that it is incorrect to say that even a beginner can pick up the broad strokes of what is meant by the technique. When it comes to groundwork, at least when it comes to things like, pins and submissions, I think that Those are sort of easy to pick up on because they sort of, in most cases, rely on the uke, the demo dummy, being sort of isolated and immobilized before you engage in your finishing technique or your pinning hold. And if you get a training partner, first of all, be gentle. Don't ever rip submissions, ever, except like if you're fighting for your life or you're in a high level competition or something. When you're learning submissions, go really slow, like glacially slow. That's again sort of a subject for another time. But yeah, get a training partner, have them position themselves. Again, read the book. Okay, so I grab here. Okay, and I weave my arm under his and over the top of mine. Okay, and then force his arm this way. All right, he's uncomfortable and he taps. We're good. I think that... Okay, comment from Moonfried. So when you are picking books, you personally are looking for what from them in your own practice? That's a good question. I'm a martial arts nerd, so I want... In general, what I'm looking for is everything. That's not helpful to you. When I look for particular subjects, if I'm looking to improve upon my own personal skills, usually I find the books that, if I have the opportunity to flip through the book, in a bookstore, then at that point I can usually tell, I think I would like to choose this because it is showing these particular qualities. Like it's showing an in-depth explanation, showing step by step what's going on. Again, as far as the technical side of things. More pictures are generally better because we get to see movement, cinema, moving pictures. Even though the pictures aren't moving, if there's like 7 of them, you get a better idea of what the motion looks like as opposed to like 3 pictures showing the same move because they got to chop it up into shorter segments. Grappling, again, very similar. I'm personally trying to discern how much detail is going in the description. And if the pictures are clear, that is also very helpful. For those people who have difficulty sort of like reading things in their head, one idea that I haven't tried it yet, but it makes sense to me. If you're unclear whether or, if you're having trouble figuring out, okay, how do I do this move? We have technology all around. Record your voice reading out the instructive part of it. Then set that aside and hit play and try to follow along with the instruction, because that's basically the same thing you would do in class with an instructor. It also helps if you can film yourself doing it so that you can compare what's going on your camera to what you have seen in the book. You can sort of compare and contrast there. Now, alternatively, if you're not a very lonely person like I am, you can have a buddy or training partner read out that section of the book and execute the move as he's reading it out. If I don't have any more questions, Moonfried? Going once? Going twice? I would say in summary, whoop, I got an upside down smiley face. I think that's a good sign. I would say that in summary, it is, of course, better to have personal instruction when it's available. I think that books can be used to supplement your instruction and to help you on your martial arts journey. There's no instructor who will be able to give you 100% of their time. You have a certain amount of hours in the week to train with them. These work pretty well as what I would consider like an external hard drive. This is also my memory. If I need to go look something up because I don't remember exactly how it was performed, for me that tends to take the form of different karate kata. That's me, but these help with that. So you can use these to help supplement your training if you have a primary trainer. If you want to learn something that's outside of the system that's being taught to you, which I would encourage always, expand your mind. Then I think books could be good for that. Again, make sure you have a certain reference point. I came from a karate background. I know how to throw strikes. And then I start reading about boxing and, a dozen ways to throw a jab. Oh, man. I know how to hit, but I don't know how to punch like that, So, again, if you come from a judo background, we don't teach, we don't learn leg locks. Let me pick up a book that tells you how to do leg locks. Okay, train them as you would your other ground techniques. It's always good to expand your mind. Again, I think that these are primarily supplemental. If for whatever reason you want to learn a martial art from scratch and you don't have, it's not being taught in your area, you don't have access to it, I would almost recommend a video format before books. Books are still pretty solid. Like I said, they're great for picking up, principles, underlying principles. Don't skip over that stuff. A lot of people want to. But learning the principle of generating power in my strikes means that for me, it doesn't matter whether that strike is a straight punch. It doesn't matter whether it's a shuto. It doesn't matter whether it's a thumb drive fist. The principle of generating power, which is going to be the part that most people skip over when they start reading books, that is going to help me in everything else I do that involves hitting, right? So books are really good for that. Check that out. I think that's all I got right now. So thank you for indulging me. If you have any thoughts about the use of books in martial arts training yourself, please leave me a comment on them. I think that it is probably a controversial and divisive subject, but here we are. So yeah, thank you for watching, and my next video will be up on Friday.